Well, welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Spielman and Hooley podcast. Ohio State, Nebraska, Browns, and Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers. Somebody in the AFC North's got to win a game pretty soon, but we will start our podcast today a little bit differently, Mr. Spielman.
We're bringing on, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great partners over the years, right? And the cool thing about it is I developed great relationships and friendships. And I'm the best compliment I can give Thom Brennaman is not only that he's my friend, but he forces me to do my job better because he's that good. And when a man can force another man to be better at his job by how he does his job, that's such a benefit for me, and our whole team benefits from it. So, good morning, Thom. How are you? Well, don't worry. I'll take those back on Saturday when I get mad at you. So, rip him down, burn it all down.
Well, Thom is joining us on the morning of the evening of a very special night at Great American Ballpark. The Reds tonight will take on the Milwaukee Brewers, and tonight will be Thom's father Marty's penultimate game. Mr. Spielman, that's your ACT word of the day. Do you know what penultimate means?
Second from last.
Second from last, next to last. That's right. Well, Thom, of course, and Marty, this will be an awesome night. And your dad is retiring after 40 plus years in a business. He's the voice I grew up with. And so, what a special night for you guys. It's not the first time you've worked together, but I'm really glad you were able to do it here toward the end of Marty's time in the booth.
Well, you and I talked about this, TB, and about Marty, and it's not often where a guy gets to go out on his own terms, right? I mean, in your mind, how great he is he ready to go? Is he? Do you feel like I've done my job, I've done it well, now it's time to go? Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I was thinking we could bring him on the road with us as an official consultant. Yeah.
You know, Thom, I got to know your dad in the 1980s. I was working at a small newspaper in Troy, Ohio, and we covered, 1-2 games a homestand. And when Pete Rose was going for the hit record, I traveled to Chicago and St. Louis. And, I'm a small town, small newspaper guy. The national media is all over Pete, and everybody's around your dad, and it would have been very easy for him to, not even pay any attention to me. The best thing I could say about Marty, I can't top all the great accolades he's gotten for his work, which are well deserved, and none of it totally encompasses his abilities, not just in baseball, but in basketball. A lot of people don't know he called Christian Laettner's game-winning shot against Kentucky on national radio and did a phenomenal job with that. But the nicest thing I can say about your father, Thom, is while he is a big timer as a broadcaster, he's not a guy who big times you as a person. He's a wonderful guy. He has remembered me ever since, and has always returned my calls, and has always been available on radio shows, and I just think the world of your father, and I just wanted you to know that, because that sentiment has been expressed by many people, and it is well deserved as well.
Well, I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that really why we're all here? I mean, if you stop and think about it, I mean, I'm amazed when I get it through the years, because, your last year, when I don't know how many I don't need to diminish even your passion. I mean, the way you treat, whether he is at Cooper, whether, he's at the gas station, it makes no difference. He can be in front of the King of Kings, and he'll never unplay. And do it all right. And it's an incredible lesson that God has one of those ways that I'd like to think trying to learn that lesson, just trying to carry on that lesson.
Mm.
Well, Thom, I am, you know what I think of you. I'm for friends. We sacrifice, Bruce. We sacrifice a lot of things for our buddies. I'm actually going to make a huge sacrifice tonight. I'm going to sit down.
Yeah, wow. You know how big a sacrifice this is.
I'm going to. He's not committed if you don't paint your neck on the face paint. But I am going to actually sit down and listen to the radio and listen to baseball tonight. And that's, I know, but you deserve it. Your father deserves it, and I think everybody is. I'm excited for your dad, because I think he wants to. I like the fact that he's going out on his own terms, Thom, which a lot of us can't do. I couldn't do that as an NFL player, and he's making the rules, and so that's something to be celebrated. The other thing I wanted to ask you, and I asked you about this a little bit earlier, I hope the people of Cincinnati and Reds fans give whoever his replacement is a fair shot, because it's not fair, but I hope they give him a fair shot. And I was curious what your thoughts were on that. Yeah.
Thom Brennaman is our guest, and you know your dad better than anybody, Thom. I'm sure he won't script what he's going to say. I certainly hope he gets a chance to say one last time, and this one belongs to the Reds. Do you think he'll be emotional when he signs off?
Wow.
And also MLB, a great honor for your father. Tomorrow night, they will broadcast the final game on
Wow.
MLB Network with the audio from the Reds radio network.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Well, before we started the podcast this morning, Kirk Herbstreit gave us a call, and I know Herbie would extend to your father his great wishes. And I always got a laugh when I was doing radio with Herbie in Columbus. One of the beautiful things about your father, as you well know, is his uncanny ability to, in a humorous but still truthful way, twist the knife a little bit. And I always got such a kick because Herbie is, Herbie's a beautiful man. And your dad always every time he referred to Kirk, because he knew it would get to Kirk, he said, Kirk Herbstreit and his ever expanding waistline.
Well, I can't wait to get him on the road because we're going to have some excellent production meetings. And yes. All right, Thom, we appreciate it. I can't wait to see you in New York this weekend. And I can say I do want to tell people how rough you do have it. You live in the mean streets of Marymount Village and Terrace Park. Just be careful. Just be careful down there. Can't hide money, baby. You can't hide it. All right. We'll talk to you. Thanks, Thom.
There you go. Thom Brennaman joining us tonight. That'll be a very special thing.
It's so
Me
cool.
And, Marty tonight. Yeah, absolutely.
The cool thing is, I've been on in the room when he puts his dad on speaker.
Oh, the two of those guys together.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Then I get a little riled up. You know how I get it going. So I like to stir it a little bit. You know what I mean? So I stir the pot with those two.
You and Marty'd be a good tandem. Trust me on that. I'm in the Thom role.
I'm excited for him and Thom. It's so cool. And I'm going to listen to it on the radio tonight. I can't believe I'm going to listen to baseball on the radio, which I used to use as a sleeping pill with Ernie Harwell in Detroit.
I just want to say again, like as a young kid, they always say, don't meet your heroes. In Marty Brennaman's case, it was awesome to meet him and to see what a great guy he was.
Yeah.
I mean, just what a great guy he was to everyone. It was just, I just can't say enough great things about Marty, and nice of Thom to join us tonight. So that'll be very, very special, and I sure hope he gets to sign off with, and this one belongs to you guys. That would be phenomenal. Congrats to you and Thom. You guys get the Giants and the Redskins, but it doesn't appear you'll get Dwayne Haskins on Sunday.
No, it doesn't
Jay
look
Gruden
like
sticking
that,
with Case Keenum.
It doesn't look like. I think they have a young group. The Redskins have a young group of receivers, and they're still trying to gel. And Jay doesn't think they're that far off. The problem with their loss against Chicago the other night, Case had 5 turnovers, 3 picks and
2 fumbles.
And 2 fumbles. And what that's saying is, look, I think if they lose probably this week to the Giants, then it's probably going to be good to see Dwayne Haskins make his NFL debut.
But to their credit, I think, to throw him in there against Khalil Mack with no prep, to throw Haskins in there against those guys, I mean, when you put him in, you do want to give him a chance.
Well, the Giants are ranked 31st in defense, so that's a pretty good chance. And the other thing is, usually the Giants did this, and Pat Shurmur did this. There's a philosophy out there. If you're going to start a rookie quarterback, you let him get his first start on the road, not at home.
Yeah. Daniel Jones, talk of the NFL, his win in Tampa with the scramble into the end zone. And Chris and Thom will have that. Shannon Spake on sidelines Sunday on Fox. Buckeyes, of course, will take on Nebraska. Browns will have the Ravens, and the Steelers will have the Bengals. Before we get to all of that, we wanted to give you our flashes of fun picture-perfect play of the day. It happened last night in Chicago. Jose Ramirez, broken hand, back in the lineup last night for the first time in a month, comes to the plate in the first inning with the bases loaded. And how fortunate we are in Ohio to have the iconic Marty Brennaman in Cincinnati and the one and only Tom Hamilton in Cleveland.
To deep right field, away, back and gone. How about that welcome back? A grand slam down the right field line,
and the next time he came up, he hit a 3-run homer. So
Good night.
pretty nice night for
7
Jose
ribbies?
Ramirez. Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
Speaking of lingo now, 7 ribbies.
7 ribbies.
Are
Very
they in
good.
it still, by the way?
They are still in it. Yes,
Okay.
they are. That's your flashes of fun, picture-perfect play of the day for senior pictures, for pet pictures, for any kind of pictures. FlashesOFun.com on the web, $50 off if you book online, and their pictures have been viewed over 2 million times and used around the world in advertising, so they know what they're doing. FlashesOFun.com. Scouting report on Nebraska. Any interaction with your nephew J.D. Spielman, he's had great games against Ohio State in his career.
Coming off a big game last week, so you have to be aware of where JD is. 7 catches for 158 yards, I think, last week, and so he's the kind of guy that will, if you fall asleep on it, he catches one over the middle, he makes a guy miss, and he's usually able to finish. But I think Nebraska's athletic level has risen since it was 2 years ago, certainly, even last year. Their defense is more athletic than it's been. They have a little bit more speed on the defense.
That's going to need to be.
Well, here's look. Nebraska is not good enough to overcome any mental errors. They can't give Ohio State any breaks because Ohio State's really good at
And they
exploiting
had
other people's mistakes.
They had Ohio State last year in position to beat them last year, and there were mistakes made.
Yep.
An onside kick mistake. JD and Adrian
Yep.
Martinez could have hooked up on a long
Yep.
touchdown pass. They had a fumble down inside the 20 on a real curious play call on a bubble screen. I thought that was a dumb call. But 36-31 last year, so Ohio State has tentacles out. And I wrote about this on maven.io/Ohio State. Anytime Ohio State goes on the road now, everybody's always looking for, is this going to be Purdue? Is this going to be Iowa?
Well, sure.
I don't know how many times you have to win a road game like 51-10 at Indiana for that not to be a thing.
I just think it feels like this could be a Purdue or an Iowa because Ohio State is certainly aware that when they do go on the road against a Big Ten rival, that's that team's
Super
game
Bowl.
of
Yeah,
the year.
it's a Super Bowl.
That's what it is.
No
and
doubt.
the fans, everybody's engaged. Game day is going to be there. We were talking to Kirk earlier on the phone. And it's such a special place. That place will be rocking. It's going to be a great night and a great atmosphere for that game. But the difference is, talk about how Nebraska is a better team than it was last year. At least in my opinion, they are. Ohio State's a better team than they were last year.
Yes, they are.
And right now, a much better team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where we've seen the improvements. There's no big plays being given up to average teams, to mediocre teams. So, but it's going to be a great game. And as I said, if you're an Ohio State fan, one of the great fortunes of my job over the years in being able to call games is visiting different venues around the country, and Nebraska is certainly one that is worth the trip.
All right, this is episode 21 of the Spielman and Hooley podcast, available everywhere, and you can always find us on iTunes or any place else you want to find us. You can review the podcast on iTunes, and we appreciate your reviews very, very much. You can go to pleasereviewmypodcast.com and search for Spielman and Hooley, and you'll be able to review it. Our review of the day comes from T. Simone. He says, kudos, guys. I love listening on the radio. This format has the potential to be even better. No breaks every 10 minutes. Crisp and succinct points. Faith-based segment. This is much better than typical morning drive stuff. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the great review. We appreciate it very much. And we do want you to review it because it does help us know what you like and how we can do our jobs better. And it also, no lie, helps us with advertising. So
Well,
please go to pleasereviewmypodcast.com, search Spielman and Hooley.
Well, the other thing I want to get into today, and hopefully we'll have time because I teased it last night.
Well, we're teasing. We're going right there. That's where we're going
Okay.
right now.
All right, good.
That's why I said this is episode 21.
Yes.
On episode 20 on Monday, we were discussing, as we do every Monday, the weekend. And that included the Browns and the Rams. It included the Buckeyes and their easy victory over Miami of Ohio, but not much compelling there. And because, as Ohio State fans and observers, our eyes are never far from Michigan, we got into what happened in Madison, Wisconsin, where Michigan was not competitive, was down 35-0. And you and I were very frank, but your words resonate in the state of Michigan because you're two-time All-American at Ohio State, because you played for many years for the Lions and four-time Pro Bowler. And so last night, Angelique Shengalis, who was a guest of ours prior to the Wisconsin game, wrote a short story on the Detroit News website, quoting you from our podcast. And you texted me and said, my Twitter is blowing up.
Well, I mean, obviously there must be a slow news day, or there's nothing to cover in Michigan.
No, it's because your comments are A, on target, and B, irrelevant.
Well, here's the thing. I'm paid to observe what I see and what I evaluate. And so what I evaluated was Michigan was that it does not look like a Michigan team to me for the reasons that I've stated. They look discombobulated. There's no sense of urgency. They remind me of MAC level football teams right now. Those are true. Regardless of whether you want to believe it or not, see, my thing is this, Bruce. I have such great respect for Michigan. They deserve the truth, as I see it.
Yeah.
Now, I think it can be backed up by film study. Now, I don't want anybody to get fired or lose their job. You know, I've stated that so many
Absolutely.
times, and I want all kids to play well. I want everybody to do well, but that's just not the case right now. So they have one chance to turn it around. And it's a well-known fact that I was going to go to Michigan. And everybody knows I didn't go to Michigan because my dad put the kibosh on me going to Michigan, which is true. But
Right.
why did I want to go to Michigan? We've never told the story on why I wanted to go to Michigan.
Tell the people.
And here's why I wanted to go to Michigan. Because Michigan football has represented greatness for a long time. They've had great players. They have great tradition. Bo Schembechler was from Barberton, Ohio. I loved Bo Schembechler. I went up to Michigan, and I loved everything about Michigan, just like I loved everything about Ohio State. And I wanted to go there because I wanted to be maybe the Bo Schembechler, because he sold me like Charles Woodson was sold, or like Elvis Gerbach, or Desmond Howard, or Rob Lytle, or a host of others that played in Michigan. Be that kid from Ohio that breaks away from Ohio State and comes to Michigan and go back and be your team. I bought into all that. Now, my father said, wait a second, think about this. And I did. And thank gosh I'm a Buckeye, and I'm glad I went to Ohio State. But my life wouldn't be any worse if I had a degree from the University of Michigan. So I have great respect for Michigan. I have great respect for that.